Hi, and welcome to Go Be Radiant. My name is Susie, and I'm so glad that you decided to join me today. In my quest to be radiant, which I have actively been pursuing for the last 6 months or so, I feel like I have encountered so many challenging situations, and it's really made me have to work hard to reflect God's glory and to be radiant in the midst of things, of challenging circumstances and difficult situations. Maybe you're in the midst of one of those right now. Maybe you're in the midst of a situation that feels insurmountable or impossible. Maybe as you look at the situation around you, you just see kind of a range of mountains and you just feel surrounded by it. And you're wondering, how can I ever fix this problem or get through it? Or how can I climb it? How can I conquer this? Well, I wonder if some of those feelings that are associated with that, feeling discouraged or deflated or daunted, by what lies before you, I wonder if that's a little bit about how Saul and his army felt, Saul and the Israelites felt when they were trying to conquer the Philistines, and specifically when they saw Goliath. The scripture tells us in 1 Samuel that they were terrified and dismayed by Goliath. And understandably so. The guy was like 9 feet 9 inches tall. I cannot even imagine how scary that must have been to encounter someone like that. And not only was he huge, he was also a warrior. He'd been a warrior since youth, and so he was well trained. And I can't even imagine trying to face something like that. Well, in the next scene, kind of an unlikely hero enters, and it's David, Jesse's son. And Jesse tells David, hey, I want you to take some food and go to your brothers who are in the battle, and I want you to find out how they're doing. And so David complies, he goes and he checks in with his brothers, and while he's there, he gets a glimpse of Goliath. And yet he seems to be totally undaunted by him. He just kind of starts asking some questions. And his oldest brother really gets on him. He calls him conceited and tells him he has a wicked heart. And poor David's like, what have I done now? Why can't I even speak, And if the situation weren't so serious, I really would be just kind of a little bit amused that the poor little brother here is getting picked on by the big brother, and the little brother just can't seem to do anything right. Poor guy. Anyway, so Saul calls for David. David goes to see Saul, and David's like, Saul, I will fight Goliath. And Saul's like, no. You're too young. He's been a warrior since youth. Have you seen the guy? He doesn't exactly say that, but you know what I mean. And so essentially, Saul is not keen on the idea. So David has to kind of make his case. He's like, as a shepherd, I have fought and killed a lion. I fought and killed a bear when I've been, protecting my sheep. And, he makes this case. And finally, Saul's like, okay, the Lord be with you. You go and you fight him. And so in an effort to kind of prepare David for battle, Saul gives him his own armor. And of course, it doesn't fit David. David's not used to wearing armor. He's a shepherd. And so David's like, no, this isn't going to work. And, I just kind of want to pause in the story right now, because as we think about our own lives and having to, kind of conquer some of these battles, sometimes maybe we've offered and we've said, hey, I can handle this. Let me at it. I can tackle this problem. And we've been shut down right away, maybe by a supervisor, maybe by a spouse or a friend, or, and we're thinking, but I can do this. And we're shut down. And so we kind of have to make a case for it. And so, David is undaunted. He moves forward, he makes a case, and Saul relents, right? But then he's not given tools that are actually helpful for him. They might be sort of conventional tools that other people in battle would use, but for David, it's not going to work. And sometimes I think that's true for us too. We're given all these tools. Here, use this. And we're like, I can't use that. That's not me. I'm not comfortable with that. And so we have to remember to use what we've already been given and what we know how to use to fight what's in front of us. And so David actually, he goes and he gets his sling and he gets some smooth stones, things that he's familiar with, things that he knows that he can use, he knows how to handle. And so he goes and he's going to confront Goliath, and they have kind of this little interchange there. And David says something really pivotal. He says to Goliath, like, you come at me with sword and with spear and javelin, but I come at you in the name of the Lord Almighty. And basically just says, it is the Lord who saves. And he did the same thing with Saul when he was talking with him, about killing the bear and the lion. He really credited God as being the one who saved him from those animals. It wasn't just his own strength, it was God who did the saving. And so he does that here again with Goliath, and makes sure that Goliath knows, hey, it is going to be the Lord who delivers you into my hands. And I really like that there, because David is not only equipped with his own little tools, his conventional tools, he's equipped with his spiritual ones too, with God, remembering that the Lord Almighty is the one who is with him. And sometimes I think that we tend to attack things with conventional tools, and we forget the spiritual ones. We forget that our battle is not against flesh and blood. God is the one who makes this happen. And there's such a bigger picture going on too here, because David tells him that, the Lord is going to deliver you into my hands, and so that the people will know that there is a God in Israel. And we're just reminded that it's not just about conquering an enemy here. The bigger picture is that people would know that there is a God, and that it is He who saves. It is He who delivers. And as we face battles in our own lives, it would do us well to remember that, when we're facing Goliaths, when we're facing giants before us, we have to remember that it is God who saves. And we might get discouraged, right, by those naysayers who think that we can't do it, that we can't fight it, that we're, you're too nice, you'll never be able to tell that person what they need to hear, or you're too young, or you're too fill in the blank, right? Maybe you've been told that before, and maybe you've believed it. But I'm going to tell you, don't believe it. Don't be discouraged by the naysayers. Don't be discouraged by the ones who tell you that you can't. But be encouraged, because it is the Lord who saves. It is by His strength. There's a verse in Psalms that says that no king is saved by the size of his army or by his own strength, right? It's not about that. It's not about your strength or the strength of your enemy. It's not about your size or the size of your enemy. It's really about God, and remembering that He is the one who saves and delivers us. And I think if we can remember that, and we can remember not just to use our own little tools, but Him, remember that there is power in the name of the Lord Almighty, and that it is He who saves. I really think that nothing is impossible for Him. I mean, that's what Scripture tells us. I think that we can conquer any mountain. We can climb it, we can conquer it, we can get through it, we can fix it, because the Lord Almighty is with us, because it is God who saves. So be encouraged. Whatever it is you're facing right now, or maybe someone is facing something that seems insurmountable, be encouraged. You can get through this. The Lord your God is with you.